The coronavirus pandemic has greatly affected all industries across the globe. Businesses everywhere are facing several issues. Most people are hesitant to go out to make any kind of purchase unless it's absolutely essential. This hesitation amongst customers to go outside has begun to shift the focus of the nation towards e commerce. E commerce has become our saving grace in a way, as it allows people to stay at home and still purchase what they want and have it delivered to their doorstep. E commerce is not just beneficial to the customers but also the traders and businesses. For starters, it eliminates the distance barrier. Consumers are no longer sticking to the shops that are nearby. Also, it is easier to advertise and disseminate information about products through online means. There are also no worries regarding the maintenance of a physical shopping space as all transactions take place online. But here lies the question: what does this shift towards e commerce mean for traditional businesses? Can they adapt to the new normal of internet commerce and find success with it? Or will competition with already thriving online businesses become an obstacle they can't overcome? Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Socially Desi Show, the podcast that motivates you to live, create, and inspire. If this is your first time here, welcome. On our show, we discuss tips and strategies with our guest speakers on how to tackle problems related to personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. So hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com for more of such content. Today, I'm joined by Raghav Gupta. He is the Director of E-commerce at the Rug Republic. Hello, Raghav. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anurag. Great to be here.
It's a pleasure to be hosting you on the show today, Raghav. So, to our audience who are not aware about you, why don't you tell us about your professional background?
Yes, definitely. So, I'm currently heading the e-commerce division of this company called the Rug Republic, which is a 31-year-old brand, and we
Mhm.
are a brand that produces Indian handmade rugs. For the longest time, we were working only as an export company, but now we're making that move. Personally, I studied mathematics and economics from UCLA,
Okay.
and this is a family business of mine. So I've sort of been involved in it for as long as I can remember, really. But now is when I have taken it upon me to sort of take the next step,
Mhm.
which, like you very eloquently put, is e-commerce, not just for me but for all businesses.
So, why e-commerce?
Well, I think retail is changing, and we must change with it.
Mhm.
Like you said, people are afraid to go out. But I think even before the coronavirus, when people were not afraid, they didn't want to go out, right? Why would you want to go all the way to a shop when the shop can come to you?
Right.
So I think it was changing long before that. But this whole pandemic thing has definitely been a catalyst
True, true.
in that progression of things. And obviously, that thing is bound to progress. Like everything changes.
Mhm.
Like the age old thing says the only constant is change. For the longest time, especially in India,
Mhm.
e-commerce is still a new thing.
Yep.
Maybe even 15 years ago, you would not have thought of, I'll just call for my groceries off the internet.
So true. Yep.
But now I don't remember the last time I went out for groceries, you know. And with smartphones, everyone has a smartphone. I think India has a ridiculously high number of smartphones being used with wonderful apps and everything. So I think it's not really a choice matter for businesses to be on the internet anymore. I think if you're not on the internet now, you're falling behind.
So
It's
true.
like 20 years ago, if as a business you were like, I only accept cash, I don't accept credit cards, no one would shop with you.
Yep.
And now the next progression is e-commerce. Now if you say I'm only at a store, and like you said, there's so many wonderful things that can be achieved by going online.
Mhm.
The biggest one being reach. I'm no longer confined to a city. If I have a store in Delhi, odds are my customers are only the people of Delhi.
Yep.
Now my customers are people of the world. We already do business in over 90 countries in 6 continents.
Mhm.
Goes without saying, there's no way I would have that reach with a physical store, right?
So true.
But with an online thing, I am sure this is only the beginning of our reach. There's 193 countries in the world. Correct
Mhm.
me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
That still leaves 103 countries to go, and I'm sure we will reach them soon, all because of the e-commerce project.
No, you are absolutely right. Especially in India after the Geo revolution, I guess a lot many handsets, a lot many people got access to internet, and through that, we saw the revolution of e-commerce, especially in India, to take the next step. And right now, as you rightly said, it's really difficult to imagine our lives, especially people in the urban areas, to imagine their lives, without the need of using these apps, be it Grofers or be it any other app when it comes to buying your groceries, or apps like Miantra and all for buying your clothes. So it's really, it has become like a central and integral part of our lives, and this is something that we cannot ignore. And this is what the episode is, guys. So people who are listening to us right now, thank you for joining in to the Socially Desi show. This episode is focused on e-commerce. It's focused on how traditional businesses are now transitioning from the brick and mortar businesses to now being completely online. And especially with this whole pandemic, Raghav, I'm sure you would agree with this, that a lot of brick and mortar businesses faced a lot of losses, and a few of them had to close down completely, like shut down. And I guess e-commerce is something that can help these kind of businesses to actually reboot and look forward to 2021. What do you think?
Yes, definitely. Also, keep in mind that as a country, we are still sort of on the slower internet connection side of the world,
Yep.
right? The reach of internet, while it is there, I think 10 years from now, it will be a whole other thing. Internet speeds, access to the internet, how fast your websites load. 5G is about to be here as a common thing. And like you said, with Geo, it's become so cheap to have a smartphone, it's almost criminal not to have it as
So
long
true.
as you can afford one.
Yep.
So yeah, I think we are at the to people who are still not who are still sort of contemplating the move.
Hmm.
I don't think time is lost, as especially in India, we are very much at the start of the internet revolution. You know, I think there's still a decade before we can come to the kind of proliferation of smartphones and most importantly the internet speed. You
Yep.
know that the West has today, like 100 Mbps kind of thing, is nothing special in the West, in America, and Europe, but in India, it's still, like, oh my God, 100 Mbps, that's a phenomenon.
Yep.
So let's say 5 to 10 years from now, when everyone has 100 Mbps, instead of the 20-minute drive, you now have a 20 millisecond wait to get to the store.
So true. So true. Rightly put forward. It's really interesting to see, how these things will pan out going forward into 2021 and beyond. And to come back to your entrepreneurial journey, Raghav, what were the initial challenges? Because, like you told our audience, that you joined your family business and now you're heading the e-commerce department and you're trying to bring everything online for the Rug Republic and other businesses. So, what were the initial challenges for you when you entered as a second generation into your family business?
So I think a big challenge that I would say literally every second generation party who enters their family business will face is sort of the interaction with your employees.
Hmm.
There will always be a feeling of, he's just here because his dad's the boss.
Hmm.
So it's really tough to sort of command that sense from the team, that your team must feel that you deserve to be there, that you're a deserving leader.
Hmm.
That is something that's just not going to come. Like if you have an employee who's been there for 30 years, like let's say I have some people who've been with us since the start of the company, since before I was born even,
Hmm.
and then tomorrow you come there and you start giving them orders for anything. It can be anything, and I think that'll always be a challenge. So one small thing that I did at the right from the day one is, obviously when you come in as the boss's son or the boss's daughter,
Right.
people are bound to call you, sir or ma'am. So right from day one, I told everyone, please don't call me Raghav sir, just Raghav is enough. Not because of any kind of guilt or any kind of nothing. I feel like with due time and good work,
Yeah.
the sir should come itself, and that's when they'll really mean it.
Hmm.
And I mean, you don't have to worry about. That's not saying that I want to be called sir or I don't want to be called sir, but it's just good to be called it when people really mean it. It's easy to command fear when your dad's the boss. It's much harder to command respect. And people calling you sir out of fear is useless, because behind your back they're going to say things anyway.
Yeah.
But even that doesn't really matter so much as you are more bound to do good work with someone you respect or someone you think capable,
So true.
right?
Yeah.
So let's say, I mean, and it may take a few years, and it may take people some more time, some less time based on results.
Hmm.
But eventually, when they call you sir because you think that because they think that you are sir, that is when you really sort of become a leader, and not just a leader by virtue of birth, but a leader by virtue of work.
True. Yeah.
And I think another big challenge that people can face is interpersonal relationships with the first generation.
Hmm.
Like your father or mother or uncle or whoever was the first generation, it is important to strike the balance between taking your own decisions and their advice.
Yeah.
If you have to be an entrepreneur, you have to back yourself all the time. If you're heading any kind of business, you're going to be taking a decision a minute.
Hmm.
If you're lucky, it's probably going to be a lot more on average. So you cannot always be waiting, I should ask him, I should ask her, I should ask mom, I should ask dad. You have to back yourself. And at times, just because of your education or because of a generational gap, those decisions, you may very well know that that's not the decision my father or my mother or whoever was heading would have taken.
Yeah.
But I have knowledge, I have experience, and I have my reasons, and I have studied them. I'm going to go ahead with this, even if it causes some disagreement.
Hmm.
At the same time, it's very important to understand that, there's no other teacher like experience. If the first generation has been handling something for 3 decades or 2 decades, then they sure know a hell of a lot of things. So you always have to be listening, at least, even if not agreeing. You have to listen, and really have to like sort of just absorb all that wisdom,
Yep.
because that's what's really going to come. The other thing that comes to mind with interpersonal relationships is obviously when you work, and I think when any two so obviously I think any entrepreneur, anyone heading a business or starting their own thing, is kind of an alpha,
Hmm. Hmm.
personality wise. And obviously, if your first generation was handling the business, they are also an alpha.
Yep.
So when two alphas sort of meet in the same field, there's bound to be friction, right?
Yep.
And that's okay, just as long as you consciously maintain times where you keep work aside and you are family, you know because if you're talking about work all the time, then it can be tough. Sort of the lines between colleagues or boss and employee, or like president and vice president,
Yeah.
can blur.
Hmm.
And it's very important that the work doesn't come in the way of the family, and the family doesn't come in the way of work.
So true.
So when you are in the business mindset, then you take the best decisions, even if that is disagreement. And then every now and then, maybe like weekly, maybe on the weekend, you just like sort of put work aside, and you are family, right? And it can be tough. Let's say if I had a fight with my dad at work, it's very important to not bring those things home. It's very important to compartmentalize and say, okay, that was a fight. It was based on this. We had a disagreement, different ideologies. That's fine. That was work. This is home.
Yeah. So
I
true.
think anyone who can master a balance between maintaining a business relationship and a personal relationship, which is obviously easier said than done, can really make good headways on both sides. Because you must remember that, and I'm sure as anyone who will do good work, tomorrow you will be the senior generation and your kids will be the junior generation.
Yeah.
And obviously, you don't want any friction between you and your kids, just like you don't want any friction between you and your father. But so it's important to not just be like, oh, I'm just going to agree to everything, both at home and at work, just so that there's no fighting. It's okay to fight, as long as you can leave the office fights in the office and the work fights at work. You can have, and the home fights at home. There can be fights at home also. It happens. That's part of being a family.
Yeah.
But it's important to sort of not bring that fight to work. Just the opposite of what I said earlier. You cannot be making decisions because you're angry at someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so that balance is essential to strike, and anyone who can strike that balance, or at least consciously work towards striking that balance, I'm sure they'll achieve it in due time. They can really benefit.
No, that is absolutely true. When it comes to maintaining that balance where you understand, your personal life is different from what your life is in the office, and the dynamics change. And like you said, when you have your father or, your senior generation who were handling the business before you, and now you enter the business, then you have those two alphas in the same room, and both of you are fighting for that power. You know that, okay, for I'm sure you must be having a lot of times when you want your father to let go of things that you want to take over, and then he would have some sort of a friction going on with you, that, okay, let me do this, let me do that. So it's interesting to see this dynamics of family business and second generation coming onto the business platform, and then trying to make changes which are good for the business. And this is where, I guess, the perfect combination of experience of the first generation and the knowledge and the way you say, they have seen the world in a different perspective. So the experience and the new perspective, when they combine, and that combo is really, really good for any business. That's what I believe.
Yes, exactly. So, it's that thing that people say, to break the rules, you must first master them.
Yeah.
So, I think you use your family and your first generation's experience to understand the rules and to master them. And then you trust yourself to break them where necessary. If someone had come to anyone 30 years ago and said, oh, close down your shop, sell it on the internet, people would look at him like, are you crazy?
So
But
true.
at some point, at least there were a bunch of people who sort of took that leap, who broke that rule,
Yeah.
and they started a revolution. And maybe I can't imagine an alternative to e-commerce, but I'm sure there might be one, because 100 years ago no one could imagine e-commerce.
Yep.
So there will be times where you have to break those rules, but make sure you're not breaking rules without learning them, is what I would say.
So true, so true. Yeah, that is absolutely 100% correct when it comes to doing anything. I mean, be it maneuvering your business into a new direction, or maybe starting a new business wing altogether. So unless and until you know the rules, you have mastered the rules, you can't really understand what to change or what to bring in. So my next question to you is, when you took this new direction, I'm sure this you would have been in talks with your family about the whole transition of the retail to e-commerce. So when you took this new direction for the Rug Republic, what were the initial challenges that you really faced within the business?
I think the challenges were twofold. Of course, moving on to e-commerce has technology related challenges,
Hmm.
just like you started your online advertising, etc., etc. But I think for businesses like ours, who are moving from B2B, business to business, to a business to consumer model, while not moving, let's say, are sort of also including a business to consumer model, it can often be tough to sort of get the people used to, like anyone who is in the B2B field will understand this very, very well. That is very different to ship out bulk orders versus a single piece,
Yeah.
you know and that is a big challenge. You may realize it, but as a team, you're not the business. You are only a figurehead of the business. The business only works when the whole team, which is hundreds of people, they work.
Yep.
So it is often challenging to sort of move on to this whole send one piece order versus send one container of things, right? And of course, the traditional challenges with e-commerce come is making your website, optimizing your website. It's funny. I was reading the stat that beyond 3.5 seconds of loading time of your website, around 30% of your consumers leave.
Yeah.
And when you make a website, you're like, yeah, 3.5 seconds, come on. But then when you are shopping online and something doesn't load for 5 seconds, you yourself leave. Like people don't even have, or people don't even want to spend 5 seconds anymore.
Yeah.
So those things are challenging. Those things are challenging. And even more so challenging in India, because that mentality of 5, 7 seconds is the same, but the internet speeds are not there.
So true. Yeah.
So as such, the the internet backend is not strong enough, but the attention span, and I think, yeah, that holds true for me also with Instagram and Facebook and all these things. You are getting fed so much content. Instagram, you can keep swiping and swiping and swiping, and you'll keep getting new content, right? So
Yep.
you are so used to being fed new content every second that you're not willing to wait. Like I said, even 5 seconds. Sorry, I have 20 other websites.
Yeah.
I think the big challenges for starting websites are these, like the technological backend and search engine optimization and things like those, which we are also facing. We are fighting it, but like you said, it's a new direction, and rugs aren't the first thing that you think of when you say online shopping.
Hmm.
Today, also, a lot of people sort of write to us saying, can I touch and feel the rug somewhere? Do you have a store? But I think with technology, things like augmented reality, etc., and of course, great customer service,
Hmm.
buying rugs online and buying anything online should be a breeze very soon.
Yeah. True. So, talking about drugs, tell us about the USP of the Rug Republic. To our audience.
So the Rug Republic has always been lauded, sort of, or rather, the parent company, Studio Sharda, which is
Hmm.
the original company out of which the Rug Republic was born, has always been lauded and really praised for their designs, for their design work. But to me, that is not the USP of our business.
Hmm.
We have this small belief that has been going on for a long time, that our success means nothing if it doesn't uplift everyone around us,
Right.
or everything, everyone and everything. So, with that in mind, the Rug Republic is always very, very conscious about the environment, about the people.
Hmm.
We now support around 5,000 families through our factories. Our main factory, which is in Meerut, is largely solar panel. We are actually the only Indian brand of rugs that has the GRS, the Global Recycle Standard Certificate.
Okay.
And we are recycling denim and silk and cotton, and even actually the plastic bottles.
Hmm.
So about 300 plastic bottles go into making one of the small rugs, the
Okay.
4 by 6 feet rugs.
Hmm.
And I think over the past 5 years, we've recycled around 10,000 tons worth of plastic bottles.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. And also on the side, as a part of the Sharda initiative, we also do a lot of social work, such as one is led by my grandfather, where we promise to build 500 new toilets in
Hmm.
homes in the villages surrounding our factories every year. And that's been going on for a few years now. So I think our USP really is that we move forward with everyone. And for that, we don't compromise on price. We are still competitively priced. We are still great designs. But it is not just a family that is at the top and making money, like a lot of businesses.
Right.
It's really that everyone grows together. And I think that is what makes the Rug Republic so different and so special.
Really interesting, Raghav. And to our audience who are listening to us, we'll put down a YouTube link in the show notes below. Definitely check that out. It's a very interesting video. You will see how the Sharda Foundation has been, in works. Like Raghav told you about the 500 toilets that they were planning to do for, around Meerut city. So that video will, give you a lot of insights on how the Sharda Foundation and the company is working towards uplifting each and everyone in the society. And it's really great to see that your company, your parent company, and the Rug Republic are actually working towards the upliftment of the workers, as well as the people in the villages. So that's really really good to see. So
Thank you.
that's that's really nice, Raghav. And currently, like you said, you are currently working in 90 countries across 6 continents, and as well as you have so B2B was something that you were focused on majorly, and now you have also focused on B2C now with the Rug Republic. So how do you see this whole new perspective now in the business, like especially for other family owned businesses also? What are the few challenges that you see? You have already spoken about it, but I would like to get into detail about when it comes to shipping one container versus shipping one product. So when that mentality comes in, how do you basically mend your ways, or try to find a perspective as to that okay, let's do B2C, because B2C is also very important these days.
So I think it's important to look at it in this way. India has been a country where there's lots of production because of resources, because of cheap labor, for whatever reason. And the Western bigger brands were buying from us and selling there at 10x prices,
Hmm.
20x prices, even more at times, right?
Right.
And maybe for a long time, it was not so feasible to do B2C in India because as a country, between the internet connection and sort of like, how, like, sort of as compared to the US, the spending habits, they were not so sustainable to selling. Your selling costs, obviously, there's cost to selling B2C, right? Which are more than selling, but as a percentage, more than selling B2B.
Yep.
So eventually, you would see that it was not so possible because making stores is a headache and websites and e-commerce was not that developed. But I think now not only are spending habits changing, but also our access to technology. So you have to understand that it's very important to be cognizant of the changing environment.
Hmm.
We are not in the time where India may, like in India, no one's using the internet, or in India, no one trusts e-commerce. Obviously, at the start, no matter where it started, there was an inherent mistrust. I don't know what will come. I don't know when it will come. What if it's damaged? But those things are changing. So you have to sort of be cognizant and just leap. You have to take a leap of faith. See, with anything, with any new ideas, with any new ventures, you have to take a leap of faith. And at times, that also means biting first and then learning how to chew it,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's also important to understand, people who are used to sort of shipping large orders, shipping containers,
Yeah.
they are not used to saying, "Oh, I sold something for 2,000 rupees today, 5,000." They're used to 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs,
Yeah.
30 lakhs. But it's important to understand, like, sort of the longer term game. You're going to sell 100 of the 2, 10, 15,000 rupee things as you would have sold one of the 15 lakhs,
Yeah.
right? And now you are suddenly reaching a lot more people. See, for the producers, for the production people, India was an untapped market. Whatever you're producing, you send outside, and obviously they sell their own stuff there. But now you have 1.3, more than 1.3 billion new people to sell things to.
So true. Yeah.
And of course, there's also international e-commerce, which obviously can be a little complicated to set up. In due time, that can also happen. But I would always recommend for people who are just starting out, focus on India. There's lots to do here, and in due time, you will know. You will know when it's the time to take the next step. See, it's always tough to. It's always much tougher to take the first step than it is to take the next step,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So you back yourself, you take the first step, and the next steps follow.
So true. Yeah. And guys, very interesting information for you and exciting news that the Rug Republic has also taken a leap of faith with us, and they've been gracious enough to sponsor a giveaway with the Socially Desi show. So I would like Raghav to tell our audience about what exactly is the giveaway, and then I will tell you how to enter the giveaway.
So we've created this very award-winning, beautiful poof, which
Hmm.
is like a square kind of stool, which is made of, those labels, the brown colored labels you have on back of the back of jeans.
Yeah.
So we have one made out of actual labels, recycled labels. It's 100% recycled. It's a very beautiful poof made out of those, which is great for any kind of setting, and it's super stylish, super durable, and I'm sure you guys are gonna love it.
It looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, when I looked at the design, when I looked at the product, I mean, I was floored. I was like, wow, this is something that, needs to be at the centerpiece of my living room. Very, very interesting. So, guys, this is how you enter the giveaway. It's very simple. Go down to sociallydesi.com/giveaway. You'll see all the details there. All you need is just your email address, enter the giveaway, and there will be a lot many things that you can actually do to get bonus entries. So don't forget to check out sociallydesi.com/giveaway for this particular poof. And I'm sure you'll love it. The images and all will be there on the website as well as on our Instagram page. So don't forget to check us out there as well. So thank you, Raghav, again. Thank you, the Rug Republic, for sponsoring this giveaway with the Socially Desi show.
It's our pleasure, definitely.
So, coming down to the main idea of today's episode, where we would like Raghav to actually tell us a few tips, maybe share a few do's and don'ts with young entrepreneurs like me. And, there are so many other entrepreneurs out there who would be listening to us. Raghav, tell us, what are the do's and don'ts when somebody like a second generation or a third generation enters a family business?
I think a big do would be to not be shy about using their resources, whether that be physical resources, monetary resources, anything. It's very natural and it's a very, very understandable feeling that everything should be done by me and I should just sort of from scratch and self-made man. And but when you're running a business, it's important to be rational and to be mathematical.
Hmm.
I've seen a lot of people who are sort of married to the idea
Yeah.
that no, it has to be me and it has to be all me. That need not be. If you have funds, or if you have resources, or if you have even wisdom, lots of people end up making the mistake that they just don't talk to the elder generation, sort of because they have to be like, no, I have to prove myself.
Hmm.
And I think that can be, well, it can work out sometimes, but overall, from the point of view of running a business, be rational, be mathematical, use the resources that you're lucky enough to have. A big don't, I would say, is I know a lot of people who just sort of come in from day one and they want to outshine the first generation.
Hmm.
They forget that the first generation is where it was today after decades of work, you
True.
know and obviously, everyone wants to do better, and I'm sure with hard work everyone will do better. But it's important to sort of look at it not like a T20 but like a test match, where you have to build your innings, you have to get in. You
Hmm.
don't no one succeeds like trying to smack from ball one, and you don't need to. you know you don't have to do, or you don't have to outdo in year one what has been done 30 years.
True.
Right, you have
True.
to always understand processes and sort of take your time, and like we said before, learn the rules and then break them.
So true. Yeah, it's really important to take your time. And like you said, I completely agree with this idea that somebody who enters the business like a second generation or a third generation, this is like, they get very impatient and they just want to get results from day one. And that is where most of us are setting ourselves for failure directly. And that's where your the first generation people, your family would look at you and they'll say, what's wrong with him? I mean, why is he doing, or why is she doing like this? I mean, they have time, you have time. So building it in the right way and taking your business forward is something that you really need to understand. So I completely agree with this idea. So this was something regarding family businesses. What about people who are starting from scratch? What sort of things that they should do and don't?
So I think obviously the big do is to back yourself, but that is something everyone will say. The one thing I think most people don't do is talk to others about their ideas. Everyone I hear who's doing anything in the startup phase, or not everyone, but a majority of people are scared that if I share my idea, someone will steal it.
Hmm.
Right? They forget the fact that they have spent hours and days and months of blood, sweat, and tears to sort of get where they are.
Yep.
Developing an idea even to a first stage is not easy. And the number of people, especially your family and friends and your mentors, who will actually steal an idea is so small as compared to the advice you will get. It may be bad advice,
Yep.
but I would say on at a startup stage, there's no advice is bad advice.
Hmm.
Everyone will give you a different angle. Everyone will give you a different viewpoint of things about your product. So don't hesitate to discuss your ideas. Don't be worried that someone will steal them. No one steals ideas. It takes a lot of work to steal ideas. And yeah, like I said, no one steals anyone's ideas. No one has the time, or most people actually don't have the determination. So you
True.
don't need to worry. But yes, people, even if people give unsolicited advice, take it. You know, there's no bad advice when you're starting a business, basically.
So true.
And a big don't, I would say, is sort of be prudent about dipping into personal piggy banks for business expenses.
Hmm.
I see some people, who are fortunate enough to have some good amount of savings, a good amount of resources. They just kind of just start to just like try investing in the best. I'll get the best people. I'll get the best ad agency. I'll get the best brand management, whatever, without really looking at the sustainability of the business.
Yeah.
You always have to look at any business that you're starting. Obviously, this is besides the startup capital. You always need startup capital. But moving on, it's important to think about sustainability at every step,
Hmm.
right? It's important to think of it in a way that, if my personal bank account didn't even exist, or my family's resources didn't even exist, is my business sustainable?
True.
you know because yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people make this mistake, especially the ones who have too much money of using. And I think even a lot of people who manage to raise a lot of money, you know it's it's not easy having a lot of money as a business, I would say.
Yeah.
It can get very, very overwhelming because you have a pressure to sort of end up using it, and then you end up doing stupid things with it, right?
True. True.
Like, yeah, so it's very, just think about sustainability as a business at every step. Is my business, I would say, beyond startup capital, try to sustain within your own revenues. I understand that's not possible for every business at every stage. Actually, it's not possible for any business at every single stage. But over a long time, if you are comprehensive, or if you're aware about that, okay, whatever I'm doing is sustaining itself,
Mhm.
then you are just a lot more set up to take that big catapult.
So true. Yeah. I mean, I speak to a lot of people, and this is, in fact, this is one of the big issues that I see with a lot of young entrepreneurs who are starting from scratch and who don't have any business background to back up. So what they do is, they'll put all their savings in. They'll just put in the capital that is required, but there's no, operational costs are not taken care of, and then 6 months down the line, opening their businesses, they realize that they don't have money to sustain, and that's why we see 99% of businesses fail in the first year of their operations. So it's really important when it comes to your funds management and doing the right kind of research, actually, when it comes to finding what the right fit is for your product or service in the market, as well as maintaining that fund, which is required, not just your capital. Because I mean, Raghav, I'm sure you would have seen this as well. I see a lot of people when they want to start their own business, or maybe let's say startup, they would go around and see what's the office that they would rent out, and they'll spend loads and loads of money on the offices rather than working from home, and spending on unnecessary things which are not actually required for your business.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that is where they set themselves up for a big loss.
Yeah, and I think also when people are conceptualizing businesses, I think it's important to go beyond the internet. When you're researching a product, let's say
Mm.
you're planning to make a new beer, for example.
Hmm.
It's not enough to look at customer reviews of competitive beers. Just go out there, go taste it.
Yep.
If you want to start a travel company, spend some money, go on a trip with your competitor's travel company, understand their strengths, incorporate them, and exploit their weaknesses. You
Yep.
know, the internet will not tell you as much as as much as actually going out there and doing it will. And I understand the internet has a wealth of information, which is great when you're making the decision of which beer to buy. But then when you're making your own beer, you're making your own product, then go out there, go down to the streets, go down to the market, actually talk to the shopkeepers, talk to the people. How do you like it? How much does it sell? And then taste it. See why something sells or why something doesn't sell.
Yep. So true.
And I think on the topic of fund management, I would say that always be cognizant of alternative uses of money.
Hmm.
Money that is used, let's say you are hiring some big CEO at some multiple lakhs CTC, then always understand, okay, where else can these multiple lakhs be spent?
Yep.
Or if you're advertising in one publication for X rupees and then another publication, I always just be like, okay, what else can I do with this money? It can be very easy to fall into the trap of this traditional way that, okay, I get good management, I get good
Hmm.
advertising, I get into the biggest magazines, the biggest Instagram channels, and my business works. I don't think so. I think that and it maybe all I'm saying is always keep thinking. you know it's an entrepreneur's job to keep thinking, even when you're sleeping, even if when you're on holiday. Just try not to shut your brain off anytime.
Yeah.
Always, there's inspiration everywhere, there's ideas everywhere, there's lessons everywhere.
That's true.
So always keep evaluating your alternatives. And when you finally come to a decision, then back your decision. Be
Yeah.
sure that, okay, I saw all aspects of it, but now I back it. So don't forget to see all aspects, but also don't get stuck in the trap. It could have been like this, it could have been like that. No, you take an informed choice and you stick by it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a lot of us, we get into this trap of trying to make everything perfect, and that is where we lose a lot of time. We lose a lot of resources, money. Everything goes for a toss. So I believe you have said it very straightforward that once you make up your mind, once you have something in mind, just try to execute that first. And I'm sure even if you fail at something, you'll at least learn. That experience will be priceless, and that is really important in today's time where people are just fighting or thriving for perfection. I guess being a good executioner is more important.
Yes. And obviously, the cliched line, don't be afraid to be wrong.
Hmm.
Never risk something that you can't lose. Don't risk your entire business on one decision. And be okay with the fact that you'll be wrong. You know, don't evaluate things in retrospect. That's
Yeah.
very important. I also I'm very active in the stock markets.
Hmm.
And it can be easy on the trap. You thought something, you did your research, you did your technicals, your fundamentals, and you thought, okay, this will happen. And this doesn't happen. And it's very easy to start thinking, oh man, what if I didn't do it? Oh man, what if I didn't lose it? No, you have to sort of just be okay that just know that in the moment with the information you had, you made the best possible choice. And when things started to go wrong, you got out of it. No matter what you're doing, I think the minute you stop expecting and start hoping, that's when you have to get out, no matter what it is.
Hmm.
Stop hoping for things, expect them based on research, based on trends, based on something. But the minute you're saying,
Yeah.
oh, I really hope this happens today, the minute you start using the word hope, you have to get out of it.
True, true, true. So, talking about hope, a lot of the entrepreneurs, they hope to make sales quickly. And what are your views on that? And what sort of advice would you like to give when it comes to marketing and sales for a new business or a family business, entering the e-commerce era?
I think a big don't, according to me, is like it. Not don't give into online marketing fads.
Hmm.
There's this new phrase that is going around on Instagram. Well, it's not that new anymore. It was new maybe some years ago, called a collaboration,
Yeah.
where someone with 20,000, 30,000, ranging on to millions of followers will sort of reach out to you, or you will reach out to them, and they'll basically send a product for free, and they will sort of just put a post about it,
Hmm.
which is great, but it's very easy. And I actually see people who just end up giving a free product to everyone. And
Yeah.
any business can sustain some free product. That's not the point. Point is, like I said earlier, think of alternate uses. You must really think that, okay, is that influencer of the image and of the vibe that I want to communicate. you
True.
know
Hmm.
if you're a publishing house, then maybe a fashion supermodel is not the best, as opposed to someone more academic, or someone more um of a, what do you call it, just of a more polished, well, no, polished is the wrong word, but I think you get my point.
Yeah.
So always understand, and don't just be worried about, if everyone else is giving products to the influencers, I must also. I'm not saying don't give it. Pick your influencers, pick the people who communicate what you want communicated about your brand.
Yeah.
you know Everyone, and anyone who's active on Instagram, they will know that they follow certain people, certain pages for certain kind of information.
True.
You
Yes.
know, they if I'm looking at a model's page, it's not to learn about books.
True. Yeah.
Maybe it's to learn about fashions. If you're a fashion brand, you want to go for those people,
True.
right?
Yeah.
If you're a food brand, then you want to go for different kind of people. And a big do, I would say, is spend on online advertising. It can get expensive at first.
Hmm.
Definitely, things like Google Ads and all, they're not cheap. But I think the level of targeting that they let you do, you know, it really helps you reach to exactly who wants your things.
Yeah.
And that's worth paying the monies.
Hmm.
They even, at times, you will realize that they are even more expensive than getting printed in a big magazine. you know
True.
but
True.
that's okay, because in a big magazine you don't control who reads you. You have a general idea, okay, if it's India Today, these kind of people are reading it.
Yeah.
But with Google Ads, you can really say, this person was looking for a rug, and now they have an ad for a rug. you know
Yep.
so spend on your online advertising. Don't give in to fads. Those are two things that I would advise to everyone who's sort of starting out on their e-commerce. And I think people will learn it soon enough themselves. Even if someone starts out, they will see that a few lakh rupees or a few thousand rupees or any amount of money spent on targeted advertising, whether that be social media or the search engines, it gives returns in no time.
Yeah, that's completely true. And when it comes to influencer marketing, also, a lot of people they fall down to that rabbit hole and they don't really understand. Like you said, they don't understand what their audience is. So, first, it's really important to everyone listening out there. Guys, please understand that any influencer that you tap into or connect, make sure that that influencer, you know, has the same niche as your own product or service. So, like Raghav said, if you are a food brand, you won't go to a fashion designer, right, or somebody who's a bikini model, as simple as that. So make sure that the kind of product and service that you are targeting and you are trying to sell, make sure the influencers or whatever collaboration you are planning to do on social media, that person is really from that niche itself, because otherwise it's just spending money, and there will not be any returns, because their matrix will mean nothing to you, because at the end of the day there will not be any ROI. So it's really important that you, yeah, it's
Yes, I think a great, and it's a very small, quick exercise you can do is you list out, I don't know, any, let's say five brands, okay, and you just close your eyes and you say their name. Okay, let's say I close my eyes, say Gucci.
hmm,
What comes to my mind? Luxury, high fashion. I close my eyes, I say Mahindra. What comes? Generational reliability. So you do these things for five brands. You close your eyes, you write down their names, and then you write the first five words that came to your mind. It gives you perspective, and then you sort of try to write down the five words that you want people to think of when they think of your brand. You know, like let's say for my brand, I want people to think green, sustainable, stylish,
hmm,
and then see the people who are promoting those kind of things. You know, and all your content should be geared towards, everything must have a plan,
yeah.
everything must have an end goal.
True, true. And the biggest influencer is your customer at the end of the day. Make one customer, that's your biggest influencer. And if that customer is a happy customer, then he's going to be somebody who's going to take your brand to a next level. So at the end of the day, your influencers are your customers. So make, good customers, make happy customers.
Absolutely. And I think, especially on the point of family businesses, the generational businesses,
Hmm.
many of the people who, when they come in, they already have teams, marketing teams and sales teams and all,
Yeah.
because the business has been going on. So that is something that can be both good and bad. Obviously, it's good because you have a lot of support. But I think at the same time, it's important to talk to your customer yourself. You know, I make it a point to talk to, if not more, though I talk to more, but at least three a week.
Hmm.
I'll talk to them personally. It can be answering queries on the website. It can be taking a call. It can just be taking, just calling up a customer saying, how was your product? How did you like it? Not because you need to do it. You have maybe like the startup people, maybe they don't have the big team, but the family businesses often do. But even then, ultimately you are the decision maker of your startup or your family business. So it's important that you personally know what the customer looks for and what they want,
Yep.
and the only real way of finding that out is by talking to them directly. Because you can ask your sales team, or what did the customers think, and there'll always be a case of Chinese whispers. So take out 15 minutes a day, or even actually 15 is a lot. Take out 5 minutes a day, ring up a customer, text a customer, or if there's a query on your website, on your email, or the company email, answer it.
Yeah.
Take up that conversation. It is invaluable. You will not learn more than you will anywhere. You will learn more than you will anywhere else. My apologies.
No, that's absolutely true, and I like the way that the Rug Republic have implemented their homepage, and especially the chatbot that you have implemented. That's a very simple and clever idea of getting insights into your customer's mind. Because when you see a chatbot, the first thing is like the customer would definitely have some sort of a question, and that is like a very good opportunity for you to tap into the customer and see what exactly are they looking at.
Yeah, funny story actually. If anyone comes to the website at like night at like 12 o'clock, when like obviously the employees have gone home and all, then I'm active on the chatbot. So you shouldn't have an ego that I'm the boss. I
Yeah.
shouldn't do customer care. Nothing like it. Go on the chatbot. It's nothing. It's alive. Someone sends a question, answer it. Talk to them. Understand. You will know what people are looking for.
True, true.
You will know what kind of products you're lacking, what kind of products they want. So when you roll out new stuff, you can capitalize on the things that are already popular, and you can change the things that are not.
Absolutely. So, before we wrap up the episode, Raghav, your final thoughts on taking traditional businesses online, especially in 2021 and beyond?
I think there's a couple of challenges.
Hmm.
One of them is that a lot of customers have unrealistic expectations these days. It's like people like Amazon, just by virtue of their size, have really managed to cut down delivery times.
Yep.
And that's brilliant. And I, as a consumer, take advantage of it all the time. But I, as a seller, also struggle with it because I have people writing to me less than 24 hours after ordering, saying, "Where's my order?"
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure anyone who's doing an e-commerce thing faces this problem. So that is a bit of a challenge, but you have to sort of market yourself in a way that, I am who I am, and good things come to those who wait. Not saying take 2 months to deliver an order, but sort of don't be bogged down that if Amazon is giving you 48-hour delivery, then I also need to. You won't be able to, most likely, no matter how hard you try,
Yeah.
and you'll kill yourself under the pressure. It'll just be like, how do I do it? How do I do it? You keep pushing production, you have quality defects. So don't try to be Amazon. You're not going to be, right? Maybe one day you will, and I hope to everyone listening to this, maybe one day all of them are of Amazon size. But until you're not, don't try to be them. And one more thing, I think a big challenge is returns. Every customer sort of feels, we can always return anything anytime. I think all of us as customers have returned things.
Hmm. Yeah.
As again, bigger players. I think there was an article in one of the bigger business related publications about how everything that is returned via an Amazon or Alibaba or anything ends up actually in the wasteland. And that's the only way they can really sustain, because as any business owner will tell you, taking a return has a lot of logistics cost. It has to come in, it has to be inspected, it has to be repacked, re-readied for sale,
True.
right? So these guys just throw it away. Obviously, as a starting point, you cannot throw things away. Your inventory will run out, your costs go up. So I think it's okay to have a rational return policy whereby you're not like, oh, I'll never take returns, but you're also like, you know it's not free to return for no reason at all.
Hmm.
Buyer's remorse, I think it's okay as a startup, or especially when you trust your product,
Yeah.
when you're doing good work, when you're making good things, then buyer's remorse can be charged. I don't think there's anything wrong in that.
True, true, and there are a lot of things that you can do as a business to make sure that the buying experience is so robust that the customer doesn't feel like returning a product.
Exactly. I mean, always be ready to accept your mistakes.
Hmm.
If you've made a mistake from your end, don't stand by it that I've made no mistake and I'm not going to take a return.
Yeah.
Accept your mistakes. At the same time, where you have not made a mistake, then I think it's okay to not be bogged down by this whole system of easy returns. And I think customers also understand it. I've been doing this for a while now, and I don't think I've ever met a customer who feels entitled to return for no reason and expect it to be free.
Hmm.
Most customers who sort of, obviously, when the and it's okay to be at fault every now and then. Manufacturing mistakes happen, and at that time we are also very happy to return at our own cost. But if a customer who just didn't like the product, I thought it'd be different and I didn't like it so much, it's not setting in my home, they're always okay to pay return costs, things like that, return shipping costs and those things. So I think it's okay to have a return policy that suits you,
Hmm.
rather than just having the most flexible return policy around.
So true. Absolutely. So, guys, remember the giveaway is live. Go check out the website at sociallydesi.com/giveaway to enter the giveaway. And of course, go out and check out the rugrepublic.in. You'll see a lot of good products out there. There are trends of 2020 that you can actually look at. There's a lot of knowledge base that they have actually shared around rugs. So please go and check that out, because we as Indians, we buy something and we never look at how to maintain that. So I really like the knowledge section there. So guys, definitely check out the rugrepublic.in as well as their Instagram page. Go check out their Instagram page. We'll put down all the links that we have discussed about in the show notes below, as well as on the Socially Desi website. So definitely go check that out. And with that, Raghav, thank you very much for being on the show today. You have been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Anurag. Likewise, I really enjoyed being here.
So that wraps it up for today, folks. If you liked the episode, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let's go viral. Remember, our weekly podcast features episodes on personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. We would love to have Raghav on our show again in the future to discuss more about the Rug Republic and entrepreneurship in general. So if you haven't yet done so, hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com. And as always, before I sign off, remember, life is black and white and everything in between.